Ensara TV ekerenga kiomogusi.
Today, the United Democratic Alliance Party rebuttals of ODM statement yesterday. We feel compelled, though reluctantly, to respond to some unfortunate, unfounded, and grossly mistaken allegations that have been made by the ODM party. We would have easily ignored the opposition statements as another of those grudging and bitter sentiments they give when political tides are not flowing their way, except that they went to adversely accuse us, the UDA party, and members of the executive, that is CS Ezekiel Machogu, CS for Education, CS Alfred Mutua, CS for Tourism, and PS Raymond Omolo, PS for Interior, of gross allegations that we feel cannot go unchallenged. For a start, we are challenging the ODM party to substantiate the allegations, which on the face of things seems unfounded. The ODM sentiment is full of wild and unsubstantiated claims against 3 senior government officials. ODM is seeing enemies in the 3 where there are none. Indeed, we are urging the cabinet secretaries and PS Dr. Raymond Omolo to ignore these unusual ramblings from the ODM party and continue serving the public without fear or favor. The loud cry by the ODM party resonates well with their own characteristics, where they whine every time they feel threatened in their so-called political base. The Orange Democratic Party has outlived its usefulness in the country and especially in the larger Nyanza region, where the party has become virulent tyranny, only ardent at suppressing the will and wishes of the people of the region. The fight, or rather the fights among local ODM politicians witnessed lately in funerals in Migori and Kisii County and elsewhere in the Nyanza region is a creation of ODM's intolerance to any form of political competition, including internal contests within ODM itself. This has led to many of its members to opt to other friendly parties, with UDA party the biggest beneficiary of these rifts. Rather than address the internal tiffs resulting to mass exodus from their party, the typical ODM party has now turned around and wants to blame others. We are used to ODM as a party that never reflects on its piling electoral losses, but is forever quick to scapegoat its failures to manufactured enemies. We have noted ODM's penchant for attacking civil servants, particularly from the Nyanza region communities, that is the Luos, Kisis, and Kurias. The higher the position of the civil servant, the more virulent the attacks. This must come to an immediate stop. On accusations that the government is using state power to destabilize ODM-run counties, nothing can be further from the truth. In reality, ODM counties are being mismanaged by corrupt, incompetent, and inept governors who are getting full protection from the ODM party itself. We will be providing evidence of how ODM governors have been withdrawing funds from county coffers to fund private political activities of their party leader, Raila Amolo Odinga. Yet, they would want to lecture us against corruption. To ODM supporters, ignore the call to take up arms. Kenya is emerging from the very dark past, and the country is not ready for another politically instigated violence. The government will meet any attempt to take the country back to violence. hate and destruction of property with legally sanctioned appropriate corrective mechanism. Kenya is on a firm path to prosperity with little time for sideshows. ODM is the author of its own woes. We refuse to be dragged into their internal rifts and ask that they address their wrangles without inviting us into their miseries. We are busy attending to our party programs, especially our ongoing grassroots elections, and the least we want is distraction from our noisy and grumbling opponents.
Asante sana Bwana Secretary General. Kwa majina mimi naitwa Japheth Nyakundi na ningetaka kunena neno moja ama mbili kuhusu yale ambayo Secretary General wetu amesema. Ni jambo la kuhuzunisha sana ambalo lilifanyika Jumapili kule Bomachoge Borabu, ya kwamba watu fulani walikuja katika kanisa na fujo. Kanisa hile tulikuwa tumealikwa na ndugu yangu Silvano Sosoro na wabunge wengine ili tuweze kusaidia zile kanisa za PAG churches katika mchango katika kujenga kanisa. Lakini ilikuwa ni jambo la kuhuzunisha sana ya kwamba viongozi wanaweza wakakuja kanisani kwa njia ya vita, wanakuja kupigana, wanakuja kuleta rapsha, hata heshima hakuna. Mtu anakuja na kusema ya kwamba nyinyi wa Kristo wote tutawafukuza hapa ndani na tutasimamisha huu mkutano. Kwa hivyo mimi ningeomba wale wafuasi wetu wengine wa lile chama lingine la ODM, tunataka kuwaomba. Tunajua nyinyi ni watu ambao mnapenda vita, mnapenda violence, mnapenda hooliganism, lakini tunataka kuwaomba ya kwamba kanisani tuweze kudumisha heshima. Tukiwa kanisani tuweze kudumisha heshima, na ni jambo la kusikitisha kwamba pasta ambaye alikuwa huko, kijana mmoja ambaye ni mheshimiwa, aliweza kumpiga teke na kumuumiza mbavu. Yule pasta saizi yuko hospitali anaendelea kupokea matibabu, kitu ambayo tungeomba tuzidi kumwombea yule pasta ili aweze kupona, kwa sababu hili ni jambo ambalo halijawahi fanyika hapa nchini Kenya. Hili ni jambo la kwanza mimi nimeshuhudia. Mtu anakuja kanisani, anapiga watu, mtu anapigana, mtu anataka kusimamisha kanisa ambayo washirika wamekuja kumuomba Mwenyezi Mungu yule ambaye ametupatia uhai. Na nataka kuambia wale wana ODM ya kwamba wawe tayari. Sisi kama UDA tuko tayari kuendelea kukita mizizi. Ninajua wameingiza uoga sana, kwa sababu wanajua ya kwamba sisi kama UDA tumeanza kukita mizizi, na ile mipango ambayo serikali ya Kenya Kwanza ikiongozwa na Mheshimiwa William Samoei Ruto ameweka, hiyo ndio inafanya ambayo wameingiza baridi. Juzi hiyo usiku tulikuwa tunaongea maneno ya fertilizer. Kusikia tukiongea fertilizer wakaanza vurugu. Tukisema kuhusu walimu ambao wale rais ameandika 56,000 na wengine 20,000 ambaye rais anaenda kuandika, hapo ndo lipo walisikia hivyo wakaanza kuleta vurugu. Tunataka kuwaambia ya kwamba wawe tayari, wajikaze, wakaze mshipi, kwa sababu sisi kama UDA tunaingia kwa fujo zaidi, na wananchi wanaweza kuona zile mipango ambazo kama serikali tumeweka. Kwa hivyo mimi ningetaka kuambia tuwache furugu, tuweze kushirikiana, wacha kila mtu auze sera yake. Sisi kama wana UDA wacha tuuze sera yetu. Wale watu wa ODM uza sera yenu. Kama sera yenu itakubalika sawa, lakini tunajua sera yenu haikukubalika 2022, sera yenu haikukubalika 2007, sera yenu haikukubalika 2013, na hapo mbele bado sera yenu haitakubalika, kwa sababu you guys are the lord of poverty, the lord of violence, the lord of hooliganism, and we cannot accept anything to do with hooliganism in Kisii. We as UDA, we will conduct our activities in a very peaceful manner, and we will make sure that as UDA we will not have violence anywhere in the Nyanza region, more especially in Kisii, Kuria, Migori, Homa Bay. Let everyone sell his agenda at any particular time, and we want to call upon those leaders, more especially those members of parliament who caused violence in Kisii. The first thing they should do is to go and apologize to the church. After apologizing to the church, they should go to hospital and apologize to that pastor who they hit, who is bedridden right now, who we are not even sure will survive the attacks that he was given by a member of parliament, honorable member of parliament. So we call upon all the leaders who were there that day to go and apologize to the church, and let us always conduct ourselves in a good manner that does not portray any kind of violence and hooliganism. So I call upon our leaders, let us be tolerant to each other, let us continue with our activities, and want to assure the people of Kisii, all the activities that we had laid on the ground in terms of funding for churches and constructing the house of the Lord, we are going on with them. This Saturday, we are still in Kisii, and will continue building the house of the Lord. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's rather absurd that we are again being invited to very unusual waters or unusual squabbles, which are rather unnecessary, especially this time. They emanated from a church function. Can you imagine? We are debating on who did what in a church function. That is actually what has brought us here in Kisii. But all of you can attest that we all have our histories. UDA has a history, and ODM has a history. Just to jog the mind of the members of the ODM, that the leadership of this country, and His Excellency the President William Samoei Ruto, and the entire leadership of the UDA ascended to power through, by the grace of God. And this actually came up because of the intense prayers that we did, and the campaigns that we engaged in, and also the prayers that were conducted through fundraisers that we conducted across the country. This is not going to change. If you thought that now that he's president, will stop fundraising for churches, we know our foundation. And ODM should also find their foundation. Their foundation is elsewhere, our foundation is in Christ. So you taking offense over fundraisers in churches, and then coming up with goons, attacking people in churches, attacking pastors in churches, and then now when you are scored because you are not given the plate you wanted, you are not served with the plate that you wanted of violence, you start crying foul and saying, the government is using state machinery. There was no police officer invited in that church function. The function was the people who were invited in church function are members of parliament, and in particular, the members of the UDA coalition, because even the pastors know who can actually fundraise for churches. Our motivation is the president, who is, takes pride in giving in churches and fundraising and raising altars, spiritual altars across the country. They can also find their root in the ODM party, the Orange, it's called Orange Dictatorship Movement, a party that does not, a party that does not take divergent views from members of the public or even their own members. So ideally what happened in Kisii, and I think that is why we are here, is rather, it was actually unnecessary, but it was entirely caused by the Orange Democratic, or rather Orange Dictatorship Movement, and we call upon them to be tolerant. When we visit their constituencies, when we come to different, we are a free country. Every member of this country is free to traverse this country. Freedom of association is enshrined in our constitution under Article 37. I am free to move anywhere in this country. I am, Honorable Nyakundi is actually free to go anywhere. You don't take offense, you don't own, you're not condoning some areas and say this is an ODM zone. It was quite ironical to hear the party leader and the Secretary General calling an area that this is an ODM region. What ODM region? How do you define an ODM region when you couldn't even garner more than 2 members of parliament in Gusii? In some areas, actually, you didn't even get MCAs, even where you have a governor. You could not even get enough MCAs in area. What parameter do you use to define an area as yours? So we are telling them to be tolerant, just by their name, even as we choose to replace that name to dictatorship. If you are democratic enough, allow members of the other, political party and the UDA to traverse the country, to traverse every area. And you are free to also come to our areas. We will not cry foul. You are actually welcome to our areas. You are invited to South Mugrango, my constituency, to Kitutu Church and North. Come and do registration. It's free for all. Stop causing chaos. We know you. You thrive in chaos, but this time around, we are not going to allow you. We'll continue traversing our area. We'll continue recruiting members as the UDA party, and we'll not allow you. There is no amount of antagonistic politics that is going to stop us. And finally, please, Be honest enough. I mean, try to be honest a little bit. You are lying to members of the public that the events of Sunday was about the recruitment of teachers. I mean, how all those men and women standing behind the camera lying in public when you know very well that TSC is not recruiting now. There is no budget of recruit. Actually, it is at even the members of parliament who are shaking their head display their high level of ignorance by the mere fact that they do not know that the process of budget making is actually on as we speak. It hasn't been tabled. There is no recruitment of teachers or replacement that is being done. So there was no dishing of TSC letters that was being done. If you are targeting Mzee Ezekiel Machogu, please find another way of targeting him. Because at that particular function, we challenge you to provide a simple clip of any leader, of any member of parliament, giving out those TSC letters as you claimed. In any case, by the way, we were live in one of the local stations. So ideally, you can't lie to the public. You can lie to a few people sometime, but you can't lie to all people all the time. You also lied about the KWS letters, that we were dishing out some KWS letters. Those are lies. Every person knows that KWS does recruitment in the field, the Kenya Wildlife Service. It is not done in churches. How do you say that you are dishing out the letters? Do you dish out letters to the multitude of 1,000 or 2,000 people? It's not possible. Please find a way to create your stories. If ideas are limited, come to us for advice, although you are competitors. If you guys if you guys feel challenged of our campaigns in churches, please create another avenue to campaign. In any case, by the way, we're inviting you this Saturday again. We'll be in the larger Gusii region for fundraiser again. We'll be there again on Sunday. And next weekend, we'll do recruitment in Migori. The other weekend, we'll also do recruitment in Homa Bay County. I mean, this is a free nation, and I'll tell you, we are painting Nyanza yellow. We say no to dictatorship of Raila Amolo Odinga. In any case, by the way, you don't even deserve that seat. Thank you very much.
I want to take this opportunity as the United Democratic Alliance Party to welcome Honorable Mark Nyamita into a home where we cherish democracy, into a home where tolerance flourish. And we want to say that any person who feels strained in their relationship with ODM party is hereby welcomed to the United Democratic Alliance Party. Therefore, we shall be doing a very big homecoming party for Mark Nyamita. He is a soldier worth being celebrated. Thank you.
But even as we do that, it's important for us to also realize that Orange Party calls itself democratic. And Honorable Mark Nyamita, by mere association of colleagues from the other side of the political divide, has not entirely, because of the election, the way the election was conducted in 2022, has not come out and said that, you know, now I have disowned ODM party. He is actually associating himself with development. And nobody can choose friends for somebody. So at the right time, if the Uriri Member of Parliament decides to join us, we'll do a homecoming party. At the right time, of course, towards the election. But as of now, he's simply associating himself with development. He's associating himself with, he's dissociating himself from antagonistic and politics and violence and everything, and Gunism that is entirely linked to the ODM party. But when the right time comes, we invite him to join us.
And this is the right time. But two sources of income, huh? Three actually. One, through members' contribution. Two, through the exchequer. And as you all know, that through registration. As you all know, UDA party prides of the fact that we are the biggest political party with almost 8 million members, and through our numbers, we are able to raise more money. Second, we want to challenge the ODM Secretariat. As you can see, we receive money from the exchequer. However much we receive here, we use it appropriately, and we give returns to the Office of the Register of Political Party. Once we file our returns with the Office of the Register of Political Party, you are able to get your next disbursement. We want to challenge the Orange Democratic Party to keep their books well, because they do not file returns of their monies that are being disbursed to them. The secretariat at ODM has got only 3 members. I know Benson Musungu and some 2 other fellas, Etale and some 2 other fellas there. UDA party prides on the fact that we have more than 200 members of the staff at the secretariat. We pay salaries. We do grassroots registration. We do programs. Tell me, since when have you ever seen ODM party conducting party grassroots recruitment? Since the establishment of ODM party. And therefore we call upon them to stop misappropriating monies from the exchequer.
We actually advise them.
We advise them to come for benchmarking at the UDA headquarters. Thank you. So you can